Let's talk about the human soul. People they feel pain, they suffer, they have heartaches, they love, they got passion, they hate, they're jealous, you know, you can love pets, they love animals, they love experiences, and many ways that this government does not consider human beings and their souls. You know, souls are a genetic term that doesn't necessarily have theological meanings. It's just basically, what separates our bodies and our minds. Like, we're not machines. But the way the government deals with things is that they got more compassion for corporations than they do people. You pay your taxes to support corporations, not to provide service for the people. Now, with the COVID-19 virus and how people are going to have trouble paying bills or not affording their apartments or going late on mortgage payments or not having money to feed their children or being forced to go to work because the government is not guaranteeing private, private business to provide adequate sick days and quarantine. They're not even guaranteed to keep your job or anything like that. And this will drive people to go to work when it is not safe. And one of the major instances in this case is like home health aides. They are poorly trained and they usually they don't get paid well. They don't get any real benefits. They don't come to work. They don't get paid. They come to work. They take mass transit. They work for a vulnerable population, and they can transmit the COVID-19 virus. Now, the government doesn't take any interest in this. In fact, Donald Trump is just worrying about the numbers on the economy. So he wants to bail out major corporations. One of the big ones is fossil fuels. And why would the fossil fuels need to be bailed out when they literally could burn trillions of dollars before they felt anything? But people can't. People have a lot more to lose. People can lose their lives, their houses, create great suffrage. And the things that come out of Trump's mouth and out of the Republican administration is more like they're handling the COVID-19 virus like it's general public agenda. And I will show you some clips from Democracy Now! That will definitely show you the validity of these points. Okay, let's go to the clips.
Last night. But the same day, Republican Senator Lamar Alexander of Tennessee blocked an attempt by Senate Democrats to quickly pass legislation requiring employers to grant paid sick leave.
The idea of paid sick leave is a good idea. But if Washington, D.C. thinks it's a good idea, Washington, D.C. should pay for it. When I was governor of Tennessee, nothing used to make me more unhappy than some well-meaning individual in the United States Senate or House coming up with a big idea, passing it, taking credit for it, and sending me the bill. And so employees are struggling, so are employers struggling.
This comes as Democrats in the House of Representatives prepare to debate a package of bills today to give workers 14 days paid sick leave and up to 3 months of paid family and medical leave. The bill also includes funding for low-income mothers and pregnant people who may be laid off due to coronavirus, $400 billion for local food banks and free coronavirus testing for all those who need it, including those without insurance. Labor Department data says 1 in 4 workers have no access to paid sick leave, including 2/3 of the lowest income earners. The U.S. is one of the only wealthy countries in the world that doesn't require employers to offer its workers paid sick leave. For more, we're joined by 2 new guests in Washington, D.C. Elise Gould, senior economist at the Economic Policy Institute. Her most recent article is titled, "Amid COVID-19 Outbreak, the Workers Who Need Paid Sick Days the Most Have the Least." Here in New York, Donna Lieberman is with us, executive director of the New York Civil Liberties Union. Still with us, Robert Pollin, distinguished university professor of economics, co-director of the Political Economy Research Institute at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Elise Gould, let's first go to you. Lay out for us what is being debated right now, what needs to happen in this country, why paid sick leave is not only for people who individually have it or could get it, but for the whole community.
It's absolutely of utmost importance. The CDC recommends that people stay home. They stay home if they might be infected. They stay home if they're quarantined. They stay home to stay out of harm's way. And unfortunately, as you said already, about 1/4 of U.S. workers don't have paid sick days, don't have the ability to stay home when they're sick, or they need to stay home if they're quarantined, or they need to take care of another family member. So that is an important gap we need to absolutely fill with policy. And luckily, policymakers can do something about it. What makes this even worse is that low-wage workers are far less likely to have paid sick days, and they're far less likely to be able to work from home. And when we think about the service sector, that's going to get particularly hit by this, not only because they're out in the public, but also because they're going to have fewer customers. You're going to see some layoffs. You're going to see people's hours cut. So it's really important that we have those protections for those workers in particular.
Well, Donna Lieberman, you're the executive director of the New York Civil Liberties Union. Could you explain who at the moment does have sick leave, paid sick leave, and who doesn't?
Well, it's really a mix. The people who in New York lack paid sick leave are overwhelmingly low-paid workers and workers in the gig economy. That includes, domestic workers. It includes restaurant workers and
Home health care workers.
Home health care workers and people who aren't in unions. Here in New York, we've been campaigning for quite a while now to get mandatory paid sick leave. And there are 2 issues. One is, being able to stay out of work and get your job back, and the other is getting paid. And there's legislation, pending in New York to mandate that, and that's for the long term. We also have to deal with the immediate problem that we're presented with, which is the coronavirus. And it's imperative that the state pass legislation that would guarantee that people will not lose their jobs or their income if they adhere to the public health best practices, which is to stay in quarantine under a whole range of circumstances and work from home.
As you can see from the Republican senator from Tennessee, he's just looking at it as a monetary standpoint, who shouldn't be bailed out. Why shouldn't it be the corporations? That's what is the government about? People or corporations? Who can weather the storm? People will go down. Corporations have money in the bank. They can weather these storms. In fact, if you wanted to think about it, that the economy fails, a lot of companies will go under, but who will absorb all their assets except the real rich ones and the big ones? Now that would consolidate more power. which was something the government wanted to do in the first place. Now, the next one has to do with President Trump and his wacky ideas of bailing out the economy, you know, including bailing out the losses he will get from his own golf courses and hotels, which is a very big conflict of interest. And then it shows you that he wants to make a meager help for the worker by cutting the payroll tax, the very tax that pays for Social Security. This means he's borrowing from the citizens of the United States' future and their safety nets when they retire, which will give them good reason to bankrupt Social Security, which was part of their plot in the first place. And, you know, when Trump is just worried about the economy, and they are not taking any financial responsibility. Some companies that are very big, like Walmart, you know, they are allowing sick time for their employees, but you know, those are the real big corporations. You got many small corporations, you know, small businesses that can't do that. And what about these people? They're left in the dust. And I'll put on this clip. And you could judge for yourself about where does the fucking government stand with respect to the people of the United States? And what the hell are you paying taxes for? To support large corporations that dump money back into government officials' hands, and you got to worry about that money too. You pay taxes to support the fossil fuel industry that makes a fortune off of your gas and heating. You're not getting any rebates or suspensions on your mortgages and anything that other countries are doing on the behalf of their people. They're just using it in the similar Republican style of government, like COVID, you know, 19 is just another real way they can consolidate power, give more tax breaks to corporations, and cheat the little guys. That's what it seems to be. All right, I'll put it on now.
President Trump and lawmakers opened talks Tuesday on a massive emergency relief package aimed at blunting the impact of coronavirus on the U.S. economy. Trump floated the idea of a payroll tax cut that would eliminate nearly $700 billion in revenue from Social Security by the end of the year. The proposed payroll tax cut was attacked by economists who noted it would deliver most help to households least in need. And the advocacy group Social Security Works tweeted, quote, "This is a Trojan horse attack on our Social Security system, which will do nothing to meaningfully address the COVID-19 crisis," unquote. Meanwhile, the Washington Post reports the White House is strongly considering pushing federal assistance for oil and natural gas producers hard hit.
What can I say except that the federal government has no compassion for your soul? Their soul is in inanimate corporations which deposit money into their bank accounts. And what do you pay taxes for? For absolutely nothing. Any big corporation that's going on the line and giving out personal sick days has nothing to do with the government. The government just takes your taxes, spends it on the military, sells their equipment to every goddamn nation in the world, and the money they get back goes in their pockets. They're nothing but a business corporation. This has been going back a long time. You know, if you do research in the food industry, or how the government was always involved in boosting profits for other companies because they were in the business with them, goes way back to the 1800s with Standard Oil, which was a monopoly that never been dissolved at all. Damn, that's about it, you know. And people got to wake up. You know, Trump has always said stupid things. He declined the COVID test strips from the WHO, you know, slowing down the testing. He has taken no responsibility for any of his inactions. He is the commander in chief. And when he says he has no responsibility over that, then, you know, that man is irresponsible. If you pull the lever on down on Republicans in November, you're committing social suicide. So I begin to think you should start thinking over to have a government that is in favor of the people instead of corporations and warmongering. Now, that's the end of this little clip here, and I'm going to post it on YouTube and put out the HTTPS address. Now, it's good night, all you people. Bye-bye.